Toronto Maple Leafs are in serious trouble as they fall yet again. It's been a common theme as of late, this time to the Ottawa Senators, who now are just 4 points back of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Leafs are in desperation mode now as they try to get points to stay in the race for the Atlantic Division. We're going to break it all down. I mean, I'm upset. I think most fans are upset. It was a very boring, brutal hockey game. Morgan Rielly had a bad game. A lot to break down today, but at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we're now inching closer and closer to the playoffs, and it's looking like we're going to face Tampa Bay as of now, and it might be Tampa Bay at home. So it's going to be a brutal next. I mean, the Leafs have to win games, but everybody, welcome in. Jim, I don't know the answer to that.
I'm working on it right now.
Working on that one, but let's dive into some things here. Now, obviously, the big storyline coming into the game was the lines, the initial lines coming in. They ended up getting shuffled. However, they did keep the Nyes, Matthews, Domi line together. They threw Lawton on the second line, throwing everything around here. But as it pertains to the game, it was a interesting game to say the least. But man, oh man, another loss. Their last win was barely against the Utah Hockey Club. Before that, they were struggling. And this team is they're pretty lifeless.
Not looking good. And so tonight, and Jim, I'm going to get this call in working for you in just a second. We'll get this up here in just a second. But tonight, I honestly didn't hate the effort in the third period, but why do you wait to start playing, right? Like, why do you start? Why don't you start on time and continuously put in good shifts all game? And honestly, I thought this was one of the better games as long as, or at least as the last little while goes, right? The last few games. They haven't won in regulation, kind of like what you brought up in the last 7 games. And, there's a few things to like, but at the same time, I think it was at the intermission or maybe one of the TV timeouts, I flipped over to the Montreal Canadiens and the Florida Panthers game, and I thought I was watching a different sport. Like, it was so much faster. One of the goals Montreal scored, which was taken back, so you might not see it in the highlight pack, but one of the goals they scored, I was like, why don't the Leafs just do that? Because you have the skill to do it. They are very frustrating to watch right now. Many times tonight, Nyes has the puck on the goal line. Nobody's covering him, and he could have just drove the net and put the puck in the net. Doesn't do it. Tavares, same thing. I thought Tavares was the best player on the ice tonight. And same goes for Matthews, Marner. Like, they're just not shooting. Their shot selection, even OEL at the end there, that's the shot you take. Like, you're down by 1 and you have like 15 seconds left. What are you going to do with the puck? That's what you do? Like, I don't know. There's some crazy stuff going on with this team right now. They are not feeling it. Not a good time for this to happen either, but they still have time to kind of get rolling here before the playoffs. Thankfully, there's still a month left. So,
Gentlemen Club saying Tampa Bay sends will pass us with this play. I agree with you. I guess I meant as it stands right now, it's Tampa Bay. But yeah, I mean, the wild card, right? Start to get into the wild card talks. The power play, there is none. I mean, they had one power play this entire game, and I don't think it was that bad. It's just that they were in absolute desperation mode. I thought that their 6-on-5 play was pretty good as well. A ton of chances. They just couldn't get it done. I think Savard drew up some good things aside from the start of the power play when it was like the crowd started booing. A turnover followed by a pass into their own zone. It was just brutal. I mean, Ottawa played a good game, but the Leafs should have won that game, and they were gifted a goal as well from Linus Ullmark there. So I mean, that's why Matthews scored the goal to break his drought. But I mean, it was a rough one. Morgan Rielly had a really bad game, although he had 4 shots. He was one of the reasons for the goals. We'll dive into some of the new guys as well. Obviously, Scott Lawton went down with an injury a little bit there, but yeah, it was a hard game to watch. The bright side is, I know a lot of fans probably don't want to hear this right now. I don't really want to hear it, but it's the fact Florida lost. So if you're keeping an eye on that, they played Florida 2 or 3 more times. Florida did lose to the Montreal Canadiens, which is a big win for Montreal and a pretty rough loss for Florida because Florida could have moved within 6 points away from the Leafs, but now it is still 4, and you have some things, but yeah, I mean, the team couldn't get it done, and yeah, it's been the story for a while, and make it worse, you have Connor Dewar going over Kyle Dubas and scoring more goals than he did with the Leafs all year. All these different things are happening there, but Stolar is a little bit rough actually tonight as well. 2 goals, especially one of them, should have scored. P-Man, that is not family friendly, but we could definitely definitely I don't blame you for saying that.
maybe something similar with a different name.
Yeah, people are upset with Berube as well. People are fired up with Berube a little bit, saying if they had Sheldon Keefe, then maybe they'd be able to be better. A lot of different things going on.
No. Let's not do that. Let's not go down that avenue. That's what we were doing last season.
Listen, I didn't say it. I said I read it on Twitter.
I know what you're saying. I'm not saying you were saying it, but I don't think we should all go down that road. And I'm seeing a lot in the chat and on Twitter and social media about what's happening over in Pittsburgh with Timmins and Connor Dewar. On bad teams, somebody's got to score, right? Like somebody's got to score, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, I agree. Timmons should have never got rid of him. Let's settle down with that. That's a little bit interesting. Yeah, P man, no, it's all good. Leafs are chasing a wild card spot, not Florida. I mean, I think at this point they're not chasing anything. They're just trying to. I mean, I don't even. Frustrating game. Now there is some things to take away from it. Not really many positives today. I do think Brandon Carlo had a great game. He obviously was on the ice for a bit of a rough goal. I think it was Morgan Riley's fault more than anything, but I think Carlo played really well, and I'm curious to see what
Yep.
people in the chat think about Brendan Carlo. I think he was the best defenseman on the ice tonight, aside from like maybe Tanev and McCabe had a good game as well. But like Brendan Carlo looked really good. He had an assist. He was a +1. He was making good plays defensively. Couple of whiff shot, not even whiff, just not even close to the net there at the end. But I like him shooting those shots. I think Brandon Carlo looked really good, and he has looked good since he joined the Leafs, aside from one really rough game. Scott Laughton, I think he looked good as well in the second and third period. The first period was pretty rough. He got blown up. He had a costly turnover. But other than that, he was actually starting to look a little bit more like we saw in Philadelphia. Like, it wasn't a great game for Scott Laughton by any means. I'm not trying to say he had a fantastic game or anything, but I think
Yeah.
especially towards the end of the second into the third, he was making plays, generated a couple chances. He was on the ice for the William Nylander goal and actually almost tipped it in if that goal would have missed. I think he was fine. I think Riley was awful. I think Brandon Carlo was good. Riley was awful. Benoit, and I mean the top. I mean the lines changing here were also a little bit interesting
Change
as
up the defense pairings as well. Sorry to
well.
cut you off,
I
but
think. Hold on, I think Jim is in here because I don't have the thing on, so we're gonna have to. Yeah, Jim, welcome. I'm going to.
Gentlemen, how you
We're
doing?
just getting you right in. I'm going to remove the call message. You're going to be the only call-in of the night, Jim. You're going to be the only call-in of the night tonight. Some technical difficulties on my front, but you have the
Yep,
floor.
no worries.
You have the floor. It was a brutal game. I'm curious to see what people think, and I'm curious to see what you think because I know you weren't here for the last one, which was also a brutal loss, and now we're in a bit of a spiral here.
Yeah, so what are we now, guys? We're like we have one win our last 6 games now, right?
not in
So
regulation as well.
Yeah.
Shootout win.
right, exactly. So you take out that, then our slide looks a lot worse than it actually is. So here's the thing: is that normally a really positive guy, that's not going to happen tonight. I am frustrated with this team, and you know what really scares me is that they look like the team that I thought earlier in the year, the team I thought was built, it was quote unquote built for the playoffs. I think we're seeing now, and I hope this isn't the case. This is probably going to be I'm probably going to regret this statement, but I just feel like this team is built for a first round exit, and I hate saying that, guys. But like you see, I saw the performance tonight out of some of our key players. And I understand that there's probably some injuries that we're unaware of, but an uninspired performance by most of the team, and I'm really concerned about moving forward. That I think this team, I think the last 5 games is probably more indicative of what this team is going to look like in the playoffs. Because just as we've seen previously, guys, like as the games tighten up and ice becomes more competitive, this team historically has not looked good. I thought it was going to look different under Berube, and at times it has. It really has. And I thought so much so that I had started drinking the Kool-Aid to believe that the old Leafs were gone. We were on the good ship Berube for the time being. And I guys, I'm telling you, I don't think there is a coach out there that can right some of the mental issues some of the players on this team have. I'll just get your thoughts on it, and then I've got some specific remarks I want to make too, guys, before I let you go.
Yeah, I think so. Similar to what you said, I was under the impression up until the Four Nations face-off that the old Leafs were dead. I thought Berube had beat something out of them because that's the way that it was looking, right? Like they were playing really well. They were in first place. Everything was going well. Obviously, you have a couple bad losses in there, but you're like, okay, like they're starting to beat some old habits out of themselves. Like they're playing the way that they should. But now the games are tightening up, and a lot of the teams that they're playing, especially coming up here, are fighting for their playoff lives. Like Ottawa needed this win, especially to keep their first wild card spot, because obviously a lot of teams are competitive right now. I think 8 points separate the first wild card and eighth place in the Eastern Conference. It's insane, right? It's absolutely insane,
Right.
insane right now. So as these games tighten up, like you said, notoriously with this group, it doesn't go well. So we've seen it time and time again. And I hate to say it, but again, these games are tightening up right now. We're getting a glimpse of what, the playoffs are going to be. The teams are getting ready to ramp up for that. And we're seeing some old habits creep back in. And one guy that stood out to me tonight was John Tavares because he was hustling everywhere and you could tell he was really trying. He's like, we need this goal. Like, we need to tie this game. Like, it wasn't like it'd be nice if we tied the game. It's like, we need to win this game. Hustling on the breakaway there to break that up. On the empty net, like I thought he was all over the ice, and for a guy who has the rep of like he can't skate at this age, I thought he was everywhere. But the Leafs
Yeah,
as a collective group do not play that way, and I didn't see that from a lot of guys tonight. And then I've been talking about shot selection as well. Like OEL from the point with like 15 seconds left. I can't believe that's the shot you take at that moment.
right.
Mitch Marner losing the handle like on the power play. The power play looks awful. The power play is genuinely losing them games because if they had a good power play, they'd be up like 5-3 in this game or 5-2.
Darius, I would say this: if they
Yeah.
had even an average power play,
Right.
they would have won significantly more games. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No, you're right. And that's exactly it. If they had even a decent power play, right? Like they would have more goals. It's just basic math at that point. And you would maybe tie this game or you would have won this game, for example, just this one, right? But looking back at previous
Right.
games, your power play is losing you games. The only reason I still believe this. The only reason you lose against Boston the first round last year is because you couldn't score on the power play. Every time Boston took a penalty, they were like, "No problem, we're good. It's all good, guys.
We got this.
There's
Exactly.
no issue here. We'll kill it off, and then let's just keep rolling, right?" So, I still believe that through the injuries and everything, I thought this team was way more skilled on paper, everything than Boston last year, and they lost because of special teams. But it's looking like it's going to be that way again. I cannot believe how much money is on that first power play unit, and they can't figure it out. I'll leave it at that.
Yep. Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to finish off with. I got a couple other comments, Darius, but yeah, I could not agree more with everything you just said. And I'm watching Nick on the camera right now, and Nick's doing a whole lot of shaking his head, saying yes. So I can only assume Nick's agreeing with a lot of this too. It's infuriating. And you look at the power play. The power play is absolutely insane. There's no reason why it should not be at best middle of the pack, and it's
Yep.
not even that. And you know what? Anyways, I'm just really angry. So I'm going to say this about this power play. I've had enough of it, and I think it's ridiculous that these guys are making this level of money, and it's not coming out of my pocket, obviously. But I care about this team, just like everyone listening right now does,
Yeah.
and it makes me really furious that these guys don't give a shit. Sorry, I just swore. That these guys don't care half as much about the sweater they're actually putting on than I do. Mitch Marner tonight had a really bad night for him. He had many turnovers. He looked really, and at times when he was with William Nylander, it almost looked like Marner was sulking the fact that he wasn't with his best friend anymore. He got stuck with his stepbrother on that line with William Nylander. And I've had it with Marner. And you showed tonight. If tonight is any glimpse, guys, of what we're going to see in the playoffs, he is very skilled. There's well documented what this guy can do for the Leafs, but his compete level and his ability to step up during big games has always been in question. And if he wants that silence, that voice to get any more quieter, he's going to have to do a heck of a lot more than he's shown tonight.
Yeah, it was.
That's all for me, guys. It's crazy. I'm so mad.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I forget which game it was. I was more mad after I think it was the last one maybe against Florida. But that being said, I agree with you. Mitch Marner looked horrible. Most of the lines you can see, obviously they had him in the blender, especially throughout the all game. The only line that stayed together was the top line. You had Nylander, Lott, and Marner there in the late in the third. You had McMahon, Tavares, Robertson, all these different things. Power play's been bad. The only thing with that is today my earbuds came out. Today they only had one power play the whole game, and that was the unfortunate part. But again, if you had to go power play, they'd probably tie it. Their penalty kill has been 30th in the NHL, so virtually last in the league as well.
Yeah.
So their PK has been and their power play, it has been pretty bad. It's been a little bit better as of late, but that's kind of just they've been scoring more goals. I still don't think it looks playoff ready. It doesn't look good either way, but their penalty kill has looked awful, and that's something that we saw again tonight, and that's something else that's very unfortunate. And you pair that with the fact that they're losing all these games. The only bright side, and it's one that may or may not matter in a week or two is that the Florida Panthers lost and that they stay within 2 games, so 4 points of them. But I don't even want to be talking about that now, because on the flip side of things, if they would have won the night, you're within 2 points and then you can start to play. But they didn't deserve to win the night. It was a weird game, a chippy game, and I don't think they played necessarily completely awful in a nutshell of tonight's game, but culminated with all the other games we saw. It's just an absolute gut punch.
Yeah, Nick, I'm going to say this, and you're right. If any sort of bright spot, it should be the fact that Florida won. But this team needs to take a stranglehold on their own, waiting for other teams to kind of fall down so that we can catch up on our own missteps. And tonight, Florida did lose, but they lost to? They lost to Montreal, a team that looks hungry, a team that everyone wrote off, and a team that literally looks like they are going to be pushing hard for a playoff spot till the end. Where's the Leafs? Where's the Leafs at when it comes to that? We got guys making. We got two lines making almost 2/3 of our entire salary cap, and they don't look like they care half as much as guys that are on entry levels in Montreal. And this is the thing. I slag on Montreal a lot, but good for them. Because they've all bought in, and I just question where our guys buy in. And you talk about the standings. Sorry, I'm ranting now. So Florida with this loss tonight. Here's the other thing. We're also now 4 points back of Ottawa, who we lost to tonight now. So I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's the case. But
You are correct.
Yeah, right. So I don't understand where this team is thinking that they can kind of coast through and things are just going to be okay. And I'm going to say this one last thing. I do believe that Austin Matthews I've been saying this for a while, has not looked the same since even before Four Nations. I believe he's got, there was a play tonight where he went to take a shot and his upper hand slipped off the top of his stick. I'm going to throw this out there, complete speculation. I'm thinking that he's definitely got another wrist injury, and that's probably what the issue was earlier in the year. And so if that's the case, dude, don't show up, go on long-term IR before the trade deadline and allow us to do something so that we can help to replace you, and hopefully you're healthier when it matters during the playoffs. Because if we're going to keep slipping with him in the lineup, he might as well have not been there. That's all for me, guys. I'm just mad. Sorry, Norla, I'm trying to be positive, guys, but I got nothing tonight.
Yeah, all good with the negativity. It's an up and down season, and I think the Leafs have probably for this season hit rock bottom as it pertains to this season thus far. Darius, any final thoughts before Jim wraps up?
I think you're correct. I mean, it could be a lot worse. We could be outside of the playoffs looking in. There's a lot of teams in that position. But in terms of the way this team has played, this is probably the rock bottom at this point, which is, again, could be a lot worse, and hopefully they turn it around. But considering the time of year and the fact that, we just finished the trade deadline and now it looks like everyone's hurt. Not everyone, but Matthews, who is your team, right? He's your captain. But it's not ideal. Not ideal. And I think I'm a little bit more mad than I let on in these videos and streams because I like to keep it optimistic and I want the Leafs to win. But there's a lot to
I'm being a negative influence on you, aren't I, Darius?
Only tonight. They're back. They're back in action Monday. They're back in action Monday. St. Pat's Jerseys Day. Everyone can feel good about it. It's different.
Well, that's a day that even the Leafs can get lucky. So there you go.
We'll see.
I don't believe it.
All right, guys. Thanks again, guys. I just want to say for anyone that's watching, despite my horrible, angry rant tonight, I really do love this channel and I love this team. And so if you're, thank you for showing up, guys. You're listening to a great channel. And thank you to all the guys that are in the chat right now, despite the loss and listening to me rant on and on. Guys, you guys are the best. I hope you have a good night and go Leafs, go.
Hopefully we'll see you back on Monday and we can have a win for once
for
in,
sure,
in a very long time. Take it easy, Jim.
Thanks, Jim. Have a good night.
All right, guys. All right, guys. Bye-bye.
I think, Jim, that's how everyone feels. That's how everyone feels. I think the chat can agree with that. So it was a frustrating one. Also, while he was there, a couple other things. We're not going to wrap up quite yet. The impact score chart makes sense. I mean, Austin Matthews, in theory, was the second best player on the ice, which, I mean, I can see. Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton, third and fourth best players on the ice, and I gave them their props. I was being a little bit hesitant to praise them because I was worried about. I mean, on the eye test, they looked really good, especially Brandon Carlo. Yeah. The two new additions tonight, and Lawton had a heck of a second and third period, a hell of a second and third period, and it was fantastic. That's at least another encouraging sign to take from this game. But you don't want to look at the bottom there because Bobby McMahon's been bad for a while.
One thing, he has not been good. I don't know what's going on there, but one thing that I really liked from Scott Lawton tonight is the fight. And the reason, not just because he
Horrific
fought,
fight, by the way.
awful, awful, but it's not the fight itself. It's not the fight itself. The one thing I like is he hasn't been going, and whether it's his fault or not, who cares at this point? He hasn't been going. And one thing I've been talking about when it comes to Matthews,
Take
Marner,
it easy, P-man.
Nylander, all these guys, thank you for tuning in, P-Man. All of these guys, make yourself useful in a game when you're not going. And Scott Lawton said, you know what, we're down. I'm gonna get the guys going, whether I get my butt kicked in this fight or not, right? And he did. It was a horrible fight, horrific fight, actually. But he fought and he made himself useful. He did something. He applied himself. I like stuff like that. So have to give him props there. I also props to you, Nick. You pretty much called it with your eye test analysis matches up here with the impact score chart. And apparently I was reading it upside down with John Tavares. So I think we can get into our 3 stars shortly. Actually, one last thing I want to mention, the power play, because they only had one in this game. Because the refs, this is the thing with games like this, the refs were like, tonight, you guys are playing. That's it. Like, we're not going to call anything. Let them play, right? And that's fine. I like games like that at times. But you finally get a power play and you squander it. And there's a couple plays there. I think it was Nylander who just threw it across the middle of the ice. I mean, that's house league, like B level. Do not do that. That coaches are telling you at that level. And they just continue to do stuff like that. They can't even gain the zone on the power play. It's brutal. Again, I switched over to the Canadians game, and I know they're hot right now, obviously. Like they're feeling it, and a lot of hockey is momentum, but thought I was watching a different sport. Like the energy was a lot higher. But all of that to say, I think they'll still turn it around. But
I think so too. Yeah.
we'll see. But they're at a low point right now in the season for sure, and they have to
Rock
get out of
bottom.
it.
Rock bottom. Before we do get into the Nick, how do you talk so fast? People ask me that a lot. Before we do get into the 3 stars, I do have something that we're gonna, if you were here last stream, we're gonna throw it out there as well. Maybe change the mood a little bit if you're a fan of a couple things. But I'm gonna throw a link in a chat here, ladies and gentlemen. If you're in the chat right now and you want to help us out, and you also want to have some fun along with us, we're gonna keeping it up with the stream. This is, I'm going to pin this comment real quick, and you can click the link there if you're on your phone or your computer or whatever it is. But this is, we're kicking off a March Madness bracket for the channel. So essentially, guys, we partnered with the Hot Takes app and other digest channels for this event. Completely free to sign up. If you want to go ahead and sign up with the link in the comments right now, it'll be in the description, of course, after, and download the Hot Takes app. And use code DIGEST in all caps. You have a chance to win $35,000. It's a very small pool here. So if you're a fan of basketball and you want to have a chance to win, $35,000, and again, it's a pretty small pool, so there's going to be a lot better chances than any other brackets out there. Go ahead. And if you aren't, into the basketball March Madness stuff, you just want to help us, it takes like a minute to sign up. So if you could just sign up and use code DIGEST and let us know you did it in the comment section of our video or in the comments now, it would mean the world to myself and Darius. Any thoughts on that, Darius?
Yeah, super easy sign up. Just to say what you said again. It's completely free to sign up, and obviously just a March Madness bracket, and obviously Digest Media pool. It's a lot of fun. It's a smaller pool, so a bigger chance to win. And I think at this point gonna take Duke, although Cooper Flag looks like he's injured, may not play, but future Toronto Raptors. So I'm gonna ride with them. So that's who I'm going with.
It'll help us. Even if you don't care about basketball, it'll help Darius and myself.
It will help the channel. So definitely sign up, and it's always an exciting tournament.
It's free as well, completely free. Just email, password, and then put in the code DIGEST all caps. That's all you have to do, and it would be much appreciated, much appreciated, especially now because it starts in a few days here, and it's going to be going all the way through the month. So we'll be throwing this in occasionally. But let's get back to the hockey talk here for a minute. We can get into our 3 stars of the night, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Again, use code DIGEST all caps when signing up. It'll be after the phone number confirmation. So after you get the text, put it in and then put DIGEST all caps, and again, helps us out. But also join the Digest Media pool. It'll be fun. Jim, if you need help after, you can message me or anybody like that. And of course, hit the March Madness banner at the top, groups in the bottom right, and then hit the join digest. If anyone who does it in the chat, let us know, and we'll shout you out on the stream as well if you can get that done. But yeah, let's go back to the hockey, and thank you guys for helping us do that. All right, you can start yours.
3rd star, I think I'm gonna go with Brandon Carlo. Thought he played well. They shifted the lineup as well. Like I said in the video earlier today, Blender's gonna come out. I had a feeling it was gonna come out, and it did, and here we are. So it happened. I thought he played well. I think he's actually settling into his role now, which is nice, which doesn't even have a defined role yet because, of course, he was with Riley and then he wasn't tonight. So we'll see how that goes. And he was playing with Benoit for a bit, I saw. So we'll see what the plan is moving forward. But I thought he actually had a pretty solid game.
My third star of the night is going to go to Scott Lawton. I've been a fan of his, and he had his best game as a Leaf, and I thought he played very well. So we're going to go with Scott Lawton.
I think that's a good pick.
Jim, that is a good
Definitely
idea. We'll look
pick.
into that.
For my second star, I think I'm gonna honorable mention. I might give Nick Robertson. I thought he played well, and there was a couple plays that he kept alive, and I was pretty impressed. And limited ice time, he was playing fourth line and stuff like that. Actually, I thought the fourth line was pretty good. But anyway, I'm gonna go with Austin Matthews, second star tonight. He got on the board. He actually got on the board. Talked about it this morning as well. Would have been nice for him to score. He actually did that. He's clearly dealing with an injury. I thought he's been pretty good on the boards as well, like puck battles to a degree, the last little while. So I'll give him my second star.
My second star of the night is going to go to Nick Robertson as well, surprisingly. I thought he played well. I am a noted Nick Robertson, I guess, hater to a degree. He had a good game tonight, and I kind of want to give it to some guys because the core four is bothering me, so I'm going to go ahead and give it to him.
I think that's fair. First star, though, I am going to give it to a core four member, John Tavares. And I would have maybe thought about William Nylander too, but he made a couple mistakes where I was just like, what are we doing here? But John Tavares, to me, brought his game, especially in the third period, to a level where I was like, this guy is playing desperate. Like he wants to win and like he's trying to put the team on his back. And that's the John Tavares I know. So I'm going to give it to John Tavares. And yeah, I just thought he was playing with more desperation than anyone else at points in this game. So got to give it to him. First star.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm going to give it to Brandon Carlo. Best defenseman
Fair.
on the ice. I said it I said it earlier. Played fantastic. I just don't want to give it to Matthews or Nylander or anything like that because it was a pretty despicable performance. Even Nylander, I mean, he had a great game. Literally looked like he was walking, which I guess is part of his skill as well. I
That
mean,
is his game.
Walking
Yeah.
on skates, that is his game. But I don't know, bothered me tonight because they've been losing so much. But I'm gonna give it to
Yeah.
Brandon Carlo as the number one star. Which I kind of do they actually deserve it? I mean, Carlo really deserves it. Lawton probably not as much, but we'll give him some props where it's due. There, I'm gonna give it to them. But man, what a brutal one. At the end of the day, though. Game Monday against the Flames. So
Calgary Flames, another hungry team, right on the playoff bubble there. So that's going to be. They're wearing their St. Pat's jersey, so at least if they lose, it'll look different.
yeah, brutal. Any final thoughts in the chat, ladies and gentlemen? Any final questions before I wrap up? Good stream nonetheless. We're inching closer and closer to the playoffs. We're gonna have some new emotes coming for you all, which hopefully when they start winning, the vibes will get better for the emotes and things like that. But any final questions in the chat?
I mean, no matter what, once the playoffs roll around, I'm very excited for the playoffs, right? Like, they're not looking great right now. There's still a month left. They can turn this around. Teams go through these types of things. So I'm going to try and take the optimistic route. There's a lot of things that I see in their game right now that we've seen in the past. That's why I think a lot of fans are frustrated, but I do think that they're going to turn it around still within the next month. And I'm excited for playoffs no matter who they play because they definitely have a chance. We'll just see if they shoot themselves in the foot again, right? So, I think everyone's going to be excited for playoff time. So we're almost there. It's about a month away. So we will see.
Do you want to play Ottawa in the first round? Yeah, I wouldn't mind Ottawa. I think the Leafs are the better team. They're just not playing good right now. What does this look like if they remain winless the next 3 games? It looks bad. It looks very bad.
I know they never would, but like I would scratch somebody significant or like the lines would be like
I'd scratch Riley tomorrow anyway or Monday just for something to do. Get Myers back in there. Call him Matt Benning. Let's call him Matt Benning and throw him in the mix. See how
is he still in the? Is he still playing for the Marlins? I don't even know.
I believe he is.
Ryan Reeves is not, based on a quote that we might cover tomorrow, which was pretty insane. Apparently he hasn't reported and they haven't spoken to him. So no idea what's happening with that. I think he's coming back for the playoffs. I have to be honest. I think we're going to see him game 1. Maybe. I don't know at this point. Fourth line was pretty good
might be
tonight.
too scary for. I mean, the PR on that if he looks bad in a playoff game after not playing for a while. Leafs falling to a wild card spot as wild it is. Leafs aren't making the playoffs. Book it. I think there's I think for that to happen, they'd have to lose out. Obviously not that dramatic, but it would have to be pretty close to that. Because they are how many games in a playoff spot here? Just I'm curious to see now.
Ottawa would overtake them if they lost their next 5 in a row, which would be pretty crazy considering that would take you to 14 losses in a row?
Yeah, so the second wild card spot has 72 points. The Leafs has 70 points, but the Rangers 72 points, and the Leafs have 81. So you'd have to,
oh, that's a lot closer than I thought. Yeah,
it is kind of close. Yeah, I guess it is. But at the same time, you'd have to. I'm gonna hop on the Matt Benning train. Get him out, and just give him a chance.
Topi Nomella. Bring that guy
Definitely
up.
will
Let's
as
see what
well.
he can do.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was a good one. I mean, it was a bad game, but it was a fun stream nonetheless. If you want to help us out after the stream, now you can click on the sign up link, use code DODGES, all caps, and let us know in the comment section of our video or the comment section of the stream. If you did it, we'll definitely give you a shout out in the next stream. But regardless, if you want to get a shout out or not, you can do that. But brutal loss. We'll be back on Monday, so it's gonna be we'll be back on Monday, and we're only a month away from the playoffs. Let's hope they actually make it. They need to win. I mean, every game's a must-win at this point, but they need to beat the Calgary Flames. Luckily, they're only 4 points back of the Flyers. But, ladies and gentlemen, we'll probably have 1 or 2 videos for you all tomorrow. We'll definitely have a video for sure. So, we'll see you in that one.
Digest your daily dose of gold. Stories of the bold where legends are told. From first pop drop to the season's fall. Tune in and